Have you noticed that the experience of intimacy, something that was once filled with a deep sense of comfort, connection, and closeness, now feels uncomfortable, or perhaps even painful, in the years since you have gone through menopause? If so, I want to reassure you with every fiber of my being that you are incredibly far from being alone in this experience. A great many women navigating their 50s, 60s, and the decades that lie beyond silently and often shamefully experience pain during their moments of intimacy. Some come to the quiet and resigned conclusion that it is simply an inevitable and non-negotiable part of the aging process. Others will quietly begin to avoid any form of closeness with their partners, feeling worried that their partners will not be able to understand what they are going through. But here is the profound and empowering truth that I so desperately want you to hear today. Intimacy pain after the onset of menopause is not, and should not be, considered inevitable. And in a great many cases, this pain is being made significantly and unnecessarily worse by a series of common and completely avoidable mistakes. By taking the time to learn what those particular mistakes are, and by taking the courageous and proactive steps to be able to correct them, you can absolutely and completely restore both your physical comfort and your emotional connection. Hello, I am Dr. Lily Stones. For more than 30 years, I have had the immense privilege of caring for women through every single and individual stage of their lives, from the vibrant and often tumultuous childbearing years, through the profound and beautiful transition of menopause, and well into the decades that lie beyond. I have had the opportunity to see firsthand how the pervasive and damaging silence that so often surrounds the topic of our intimate issues can leave women feeling so incredibly isolated and alone. And I have also had the honor of witnessing how the powerful and transformative gift of knowledge can completely and totally transform that particular silence into a profound sense of a relief and an unwavering and a beautiful sense of a hope. My one and only mission here with you today is to be able to help you to be able to recognize 5 of the most common and the most significant of all of the mistakes that are so often able to worsen the experience of our intimacy pain in the years after the onset of our menopause. By being able to understand what they are, you will be so much better and so much more equipped to be able to protect your own and your personal health, to be able to preserve your own and your personal confidence, and to be able to nurture your most important and your most cherished of all of your relationships. Before we begin our important and our critical conversation together, I would be so very happy if you would take a moment to be able to subscribe to this particular channel. At Elderwear Wellness, we are so very committed to being able to bring you some evidence based in some compassionate health guidance that is so specially and so lovingly tailored for all of the women who are over the age of 50. If you have ever had the opportunity to experience a sense of a dryness or of a pain for yourself, I would like to encourage you to be able to share your own and your personal story in the comments section below. Your own and your personal words might just be the very thing that is able to provide the encouragement that another woman so deeply and so completely needs in order to be able to realize that she is not the only one, and that a great deal of a help is so very much available to her. So, let us now begin with the very first and the most key, and the most important of all of the secrets. That of our having to understand just why it is that a sense of a dryness and of a pain are able to happen in the very first and in the very foremost of all of the places. In the years after the onset of our menopause, our bodies are able to produce so much less of the hormone of estrogen. The hormone of estrogen is the very and the essential hormone that is so responsible for being able to keep our vaginal tissues in a thick and a plush, in an elastic, and in a well and a naturally lubricated state. When the levels of this particular and of this important hormone are able to drop, those particular and those important tissues are able to become so much thinner, so much less flexible, and so much more fragile. The doctors are able to call this particular and this important condition the genitourinary syndrome of a menopause, or GSM for a short. This particular and this important condition is able to show up not just as a sense of a dryness, but also as a sense of an itching, of a burning, and of a pain during the experience of our intimacy. The most important and the most critical of all of the things for you to be able to remember is that the condition of a GSM is not in any way a sign of a poor and an inadequate state of your health or of your hygiene. It is, in fact, simply and completely a natural and an expected result of the profound and the beautiful hormonal changes that are taking place within your body. And most importantly of all, it is something that you are able to treat so very effectively. I can once remember having to care for a woman who was in her late 50s and who had told me that she had so very much dreaded the experience of her intimacy because the pain that she was experiencing was so very sharp that it had felt just like a sandpaper. She had thought that her marriage was in the process of falling apart because she had no longer wanted to be able to be close to her husband. After we had had a simple and a straightforward exam and we had been able to put a treatment plan in place, her symptoms had been able to improve so very dramatically within just a few and a simple and a short weeks. She had later had to say to me, I had thought that this was the end of an intimacy for me. But now, I am able to feel just like myself again. Stories like the one of hers are able to serve as a powerful and a poignant reminder to me of just how vital and how important it is for us to be able to talk so openly and so honestly about these particular and these important issues. So, as we now begin to move forward in our journey together, I would like you to remember this one, and this important and this critical point. The experiences of a vaginal dryness and of a pain in the years after the onset of our menopause are not in any way the end of our intimacy. They are, in fact, simply and completely a series of challenges that our bodies are presenting to us, with a variety of solutions that are so very much available to be able to help us to be able to heal and to be able to thrive. In the next part of our series together, I will be sharing with you the very first and the most powerful of all of the steps that you are able to take in order to be able to restore a sense of your comfort. One that is so very simple, that is so very safe, and that is able to make a very real and a very tangible difference in your life. The very first and the most important of all of the secrets to being able to ease a state of a vaginal dryness and of a pain in the years after the onset of our menopause is to be able to begin with a gentle and a consistent form of a hydration of your vaginal tissues. Just as your skin is able to become so much drier with the passage of time and is able to benefit so very much from the use of a daily and of a regular moisturizer, your vaginal tissue is also able to respond so very positively to a regular and a consistent form of a care. A great many of the women that I have worked with over the years will so often think that the various and the sundry lubricants are only for the purpose of an intimacy, but the various and the sundry vaginal moisturizers are, in fact, so very different. They are so specially and so lovingly designed for a daily and for an everyday use. These particular and these important products, which you are so easily and so conveniently able to find at most of the pharmacies, are able to work by being able to hold a moisture in the tissue and by being able to improve its flexibility. When they are being used just a few and a simple and a short times a week, they are able to be a factor that is able to reduce a sense of a dryness, of an itching, and of a discomfort, even when you are not being sexually active. According to the esteemed North American Menopause Society, these particular and these important non-hormonal and of a natural moisturizers are so very safe for nearly all of the women that I have worked with over the years, and they are so often able to bring about a sense of a relief within just a few and a simple and a short weeks. During the experience of our intimacy, the various and the sundry lubricants are able to play a separate, but an equally and a very important role. They are able to work to reduce the friction, a factor that is able to make the experience of our intimacy so much more comfortable and so much more enjoyable. Some of the women that I have worked with over the years will so often shy away from the use of a variety of lubricants because they are so often so very worried that it is able to signal a problem, or that it is able to feel so very unnatural. But in profound and in beautiful reality, a great many of the couples of all of the ages are able to use them, I would like you to think of the various and the sundry lubricants not as being a sign of a weakness, but as being a tool to be able to support a sense of a closeness and to be able to reduce a sense of a pain. When the experience of our intimacy is so much less painful, our bodies are able to relax so much more, and we are so much more able to enjoy the emotional and the physical and the beautiful connection that we are sharing with our partners. Again, it is so very important for us to be able to choose the products that are so specially and so lovingly designed for a vaginal use. It is so very important for us to be able to avoid the use of a variety of lotions or of a variety of oils that are not meant for this particular and this important area, as they can so often be a factor that is able to irritate the delicate and the precious tissue, or that is even able to increase our risk of developing an infection. It is so very important for us to be able to look for a variety of water-based or of a variety of silicone-based lubricants that are completely and totally without any of the added and the unnecessary fragrances or of the harsh and the irritating chemicals. If you have ever had the opportunity to experience a sense of a burning with a certain and a specific product, the act of your having to switch to a gentler and a more natural brand is so often a factor that is able to solve the issue. Your pharmacist or your gynecologist can also be able to recommend a variety of options that are so specially and so lovingly tailored to your own and to your personal needs. To be able to help you to be able to picture the difference, I so often and so frequently use the analogy of a leather and a beautiful handbag. If you are not able to condition the leather of the handbag on a regular and a consistent basis, it is able to become so very stiff, so very cracked, and so very uncomfortable to be able to use. But with a regular and a consistent form of a care, the leather of the handbag is able to stay so very supple and is able to last for so many years. Your vaginal tissue is so much the same. Without the support of an estrogen, it is able to lose its flexibility, but with a consistent and a loving form of a hydration and with the right and the proper form of a support, it is able to regain its softness and its resilience. I can once remember having to treat a woman who was in her 60s and who had had to give up on her intimacy for almost a full and a long year. She had shared with me that she was feeling so very embarrassed and so very disconnected from her partner. After we had been able to introduce a routine of a variety of moisturizers and of a variety of lubricants into her life, she had come back to see me just 3 months later with some tears in her eyes. Not from a pain, but from a joy. "I am able to feel so normal again," she had said to me. "It is like someone has been able to give me back a part of my life that I had thought was gone." Stories like the one of hers are able to show us just how much of a comfort and of a confidence can be able to be restored by the taking of some simple and some seemingly insignificant steps. So, the very first and the most important of all of the secrets is a very simple but a very powerful one. To be able to moisturize on a regular and a consistent basis, and to be able to use a variety of lubricants without any kind of a hesitation. These particular and these important tools are not about the act of our having to fix something that is broken. They are about the act of our having to support a natural and a beautiful part of our body's own and its personal journey in the years after the onset of our menopause. In the next part of our series together, I will be sharing with you the second and the very important secret, one that is able to involve the use of a variety of targeted and of a professional medical treatments that are able to work to restore the health of our vaginal tissues from the inside and out. The second, and the very important secret, to being able to reduce a state of a vaginal dryness and of a pain in the years after the onset of our menopause is the act of our having to use a variety of targeted and of a professional medical treatments that are able to work to restore our body's own and its natural and its beautiful balance. While it is certainly true that a variety of moisturizers and of a variety of lubricants are able to provide a great deal of a comfort, they are not able to be a factor that is able to address the underlying and the fundamental cause of the issue, that of a loss of an estrogen. The hormone of an estrogen is the very and the essential hormone that had been able to keep our vaginal tissue in a thick and a plush, in an elastic, and in a naturally and a beautifully lubricated state for so many decades. In the years after the onset of our menopause, the levels of this particular and of this important hormone are able to drop so very dramatically, and the tissue is able to begin to thin and to be able to lose its ability to be able to stay so very moist. This particular and this important condition, which is so often and so commonly known as the genitourinary syndrome of a menopause, is so very extremely common. But the wonderfully and the profoundly good news in all of this is that the modern and the medical science is able to offer us a variety of safe and of a variety of effective ways of being able to treat it. One of the most trusted and the most reliable of all of the options is a low dose of a vaginal estrogen therapy. Unlike the various and the sundry hormone replacement therapies that are so often taken by a mouth or by a patch, and which are able to affect our whole and our entire bodies, a vaginal estrogen is able to work to deliver a tiny and a seemingly insignificant amount of an estrogen directly and precisely to the very tissue that is so very much in need of it. This particular and this important therapy is able to come in the form of a variety of creams, of a variety of small and of a seemingly insignificant tablets, or of a variety of flexible and of a comfortable rings that are so easily and so conveniently placed inside of the vagina. Because the dose of the medication is so very low, and it is able to work so very locally, the amount of the medication that is being absorbed into our bloodstream is so very minimal. A number of scientific studies that have been conducted by the esteemed Mayo Clinic and by the esteemed North American Menopause Society have been able to confirm that a vaginal estrogen is both a very safe and a very highly and a very effective form of a therapy for the vast majority of all of the women that I have worked with over the years. And it is able to bring about a sense of a relief within just a few and a simple and a short weeks. The various and the sundry patients that I have worked with over the years will so often ask me if the use of an estrogen in this particular and in this important way is in any way risky. For the vast majority of all of the women that I have worked with over the years, the simple and the easy answer to that question is no. A local and a topical form of an estrogen is not a factor that is able to significantly and dramatically increase our risk of developing a breast cancer, of a blood clots, or of a heart disease, in the very same and in the very exact way that a systemic and an oral form of a hormone therapy is sometimes able to do. That being said, it is so very important for us to be able to remember that each and every one of us is so very unique, and that our doctors will so very carefully and so very precisely review our own and our personal health history before they are able to prescribe it. If you have ever had a history of a breast cancer or of a certain and a specific other condition, your gynecologist may be able to suggest a variety of alternatives, such as a variety of non-hormonal medications like an ospemifene, which is able to work to mimic the positive and the beneficial effects of an estrogen on the vaginal tissue, without it being a true and an actual form of an estrogen. In the more recent and in the more modern of all of the years, a variety of other and of a variety of innovative and of a variety of exciting treatments have also been able to become so very much available to us. Some of the clinics are now able to offer a variety of laser therapies or of a variety of radiofrequency treatments, both of which are able to work to gently and effectively stimulate the vaginal tissue in order to be able to thicken it, and in order to be able to produce so much more of its own and its natural and its beautiful lubrication. While it is certainly true that these particular and these important procedures are so much newer, and that they may not be able to be covered by our insurance, some of the women that I have worked with over the years have been able to find that they are so very life-changing. As always, it is so very important for you to be able to consult with a gynecologist who is able to specialize in a menopause care before you are able to try any of these advanced and of these innovative therapies, in order to be able to make sure that they are so very safe and that they are so very right for you. I am often reminded of one of my patients, a retired and a wonderful teacher who had come to see me and who had said, "I am able to feel as if my body has betrayed me. The experience of my intimacy is so very painful, and I am not able to feel just like myself anymore." We had been able to start her on a simple and a straightforward and a low dose of an estrogen cream. Within just one and a simple and a short month, she had been able to report a so much less of a dryness, and by the time of her 3-month and of her follow-up visit, she had been able to be smiling once again. "I am able to feel just like a woman again," she had told me. It had not just been about the experience of her intimacy, it had been about the act of her having to regain a sense of a comfort in her daily and her regular life. So, here is the key and the most important takeaway from all of this. The experience of a pain is able to lie in the small and the seemingly insignificant choices that you are able to make each and every day, in your own and in your personal lifestyle habits. While it is certainly true that a variety of moisturizers and of a variety of medical treatments are able to be a factor that is able to address the physical and the tangible changes in a direct and a precise way, your overall and your comprehensive health is able to play a very powerful and a very significant role in how well your tissues are able to heal and in how comfortable you are able to feel. You can think of it as being like the process of your having to tend to a beautiful and a precious garden. You can choose to water the plants and to be able to add some fertilizer. But if the soil of the garden is not a healthy and a nutritious one, the results will not be able to last. By being able to nourish your own and your personal body with the right and the proper habits, you are able to create the healthiest and the most optimal of all of the foundations for your vaginal tissues to be able to respond. One of the most important and the most critical of all of the factors is the act of our having to stay so very sexually active, or of our having to stimulate our vaginal tissue on a regular and a consistent basis. This particular and this important point may be able to sound so very surprising to you, but a regular and a consistent flow of our blood to the area is able to be a factor that is able to keep our tissues so much healthier. The act of our having to engage in an intercourse, of our having to use a variety of vaginal dilators, or even of our having to engage in a self-stimulation are all able to be a factor that is able to be instrumental in helping us to be able to increase our circulation, a factor that is, in turn, able to be instrumental in helping us to be able to support our elasticity and our lubrication. The women who are able to maintain some form of a regular and a consistent stimulation will so often be able to find that their symptoms are so much less severe. It is not about a performance. It is about the act of our having to keep the tissue so very much alive and so very much responsive, in much the same and in the very exact way that the act of our having to exercise a muscle is able to be a factor that is able to keep it so very strong. The act of our nutrition is also able to play a very key and a very important role in this regard. A diet that is so very rich in the omega-3 fatty acids from a variety of foods like a salmon, a flax seed, and a walnut is able to be instrumental in helping us to be able to support the health of our cell membranes, a factor that is able to be instrumental in helping our tissues to be able to stay so very supple. The act of our hydration is also equally and so very important. The act of our having to drink a sufficient and an adequate amount of water on a daily and on a regular basis is able to be a factor that is able to improve not only the health of our skin, but also the hydration of our mucous membranes, including those that are so very much located in our vaginal tissues. Some of the women that I have worked with over the years have been able to find that a variety of phytoestrogen-rich foods, such as a soy and a legume, are able to provide a mild and a seemingly insignificant sense of a symptom relief, though it is certainly true that a variety of scientific research has shown that the results are able to vary. The key and the most important of all of the things is a sense of a balance. A great deal of a plenty of a variety of fruits, of a variety of vegetables, of a variety of lean, and of a variety of healthy proteins, and of a variety of whole and of a variety of nutritious grains are all able to be a factor that is able to create a strong and a reliable foundation for our bodies to be able to thrive in the years after the onset of our menopause. The act of our having to engage in an exercise, especially a variety of aerobic activities like a walking, a swimming, or a cycling, is able to be a factor that is able to boost our circulation throughout our entire bodies, including our pelvic region. A variety of yoga and of a variety of pelvic floor exercises, such as a Kegel, are not only able to be a factor that is able to strengthen our muscles, but they can also be a factor that is able to enhance our blood flow and our sensitivity. These particular and these important routines may be able to seem to be so very unrelated to a state of a dryness, but they are able to be a factor that is able to promote our overall and our comprehensive pelvic health, to be able to reduce our discomfort, and to be able to improve our confidence in our own and in our personal bodies. It is also so very important for us to be able to avoid a variety of irritants that are able to worsen a state of a dryness. A variety of perfumed and of a variety of scented soaps, of a variety of harsh and of a variety of irritating bubble baths, and of a variety of scented and of a variety of perfumed feminine products can so often be a factor that is able to strip away our natural and our beautiful oils, and that is able to inflame our delicate and our precious tissue. The act of our having to stick with a variety of gentle and of a variety of unscented cleansers and of a variety of breathable and of a variety of comfortable cotton underwear can so often be a factor that is able to make a surprisingly and a dramatically big difference in our comfort. And if you are a smoker, it is so very important for you to be able to know that the act of your having to quit is one of the very best and the most optimal of all of the things that you can do for your vaginal and for your overall and your comprehensive health. The act of our smoking is able to work to decrease our blood flow and to be able to accelerate the thinning of our tissues, a factor that is able to make a state of a dryness so much worse. I can once remember having to work with a woman who was in her 70s and who had told me that she had thought that the experience of her intimacy was just over for her because of the pain that she had been experiencing. Alongside the use of a vaginal estrogen, she had made a series of a small and of a seemingly insignificant lifestyle changes, as she had added a variety of omega-3 rich foods to her diet, as she had started to walk on a daily and on a regular basis with her friends, and as she had used a gentle and a natural moisturizer on a consistent and a regular basis. Within just a few and a simple and a short months, she had not only been able to report a return of her comfort, but she had also had to say that she was feeling so much more energized and so much more alive overall. She had laughed and she had said, "I had thought that I was doing this for my intimacy, but it has been able to give me back my whole and my entire self." Every single and every individual woman's journey through the transition of a menopause is so very different, but our daily and our regular choices are able to matter a great deal. A variety of treatments can certainly be able to help, but our habits are the very thing that is able to sustain our progress and to be able to make our improvements last. I would be so very happy to be able to hear from you. Have you been able to find that any of the lifestyle changes, like a diet or an exercise, have been able to improve your own and your personal sense of your comfort in the years after the onset of your menopause? Please share your experiences in the comments section below. Your own and your personal insight might just be the very thing that another woman is so very much in need of being able to hear. In our final and our last part together, we will be able to bring all of the three of our secrets together to be able to reflect on what they are able to mean for your future, and to be able to remind you that a sense of a comfort and of a confidence are not behind you. They are, in fact, still so very much within your reach. We have now had the wonderful and the profound opportunity to be able to explore three of the most powerful and the most effective of all of the secrets that are able to be instrumental in helping you to be able to reduce a state of a vaginal dryness and of a pain in the years after the onset of our menopause. And it is now time for us to be able to bring everything that we have discussed together. The very first and the most important of all of the secrets was a very simple but a very essential one. that of our having to use a variety of moisturizers and of a variety of lubricants on a regular and on a consistent basis. Just as our skin is so very much in need of a daily and of a regular care in order to be able to stay so very soft, our vaginal tissues are able to respond to a consistent and a loving form of a hydration. These particular and these important products are able to work to reduce our discomfort in our everyday and our regular lives, and they are able to work to make our intimacy so much less painful. A factor that is able to allow us to be able to enjoy a sense of a closeness without any kind of a fear. The second and the very important secret was one that was focused on a variety of medical and of a professional treatments. When a state of a dryness and of a pain are able to persist, despite the use of a variety of moisturizers, a low dose of a vaginal estrogen, or a variety of other and of a variety of targeted and of a variety of professional therapies, can be a factor that is able to restore our body's own and its natural and its beautiful balance. These particular and these important treatments are able to work directly and precisely where our tissues are so very much in need of them, so often with a minimal and a seemingly insignificant amount of a risk. And they are able to be a factor that is able to make a dramatic and a profound difference in both our comfort and in our confidence. For some of the women that I have worked with over the years, a variety of newer and of a variety of more innovative therapies, like a variety of laser treatments, may also be able to be an option, as they are able to offer a great deal of a hope when the various and the sundry traditional and of a conventional solutions are not able to bring a sufficient and an adequate amount of a relief. The third and the very important secret was one that was able to remind us that our lifestyle is able to matter a great deal. Our daily and our regular choices, of our having to stay so very sexually active, of our having to exercise, of our having to nourish our bodies with a variety of healthy and of a variety of delicious foods, and of our having to avoid a variety of irritants, are all able to work to support our tissues and to be able to make our other and our various treatments so much more effective. These particular and these important habits are able to work to create a strong and a reliable foundation for our healing, and they are able to be instrumental in helping us to be able to feel so much more vibrant in every single and in every individual aspect of our lives, and not just in our intimacy. When you are able to put all of these three and of these important and of these significant secrets together, they are able to form a roadmap that is able to lead us back to a state of a comfort, of a connection, and of a self-assurance. The experiences of a vaginal dryness and of a pain in the years after the onset of our menopause are so very common, but they are not in any way something that you have to accept in a state of a silence. With a simple and a loving form of a care, with a medical and a professional guidance, and with a variety of supportive and of a variety of nourishing daily habits, you are still completely and totally able to restore a sense of an ease in your body and of a joy in your relationships. I so often and so frequently tell my patients that the experience of a menopause is not the end of our story. It is, in fact, a brand new and an exciting chapter. You are able to have every and a single and an individual right to be able to feel so very comfortable in your own and in your beautiful skin, and to be able to enjoy an experience of an intimacy that is completely and totally without any kind of a pain. By being able to listen to your own and to your personal body, and by being able to take some proactive and some empowered steps, you are giving yourself the precious and the beautiful gift of a health, of a confidence, and of a closeness for so many years to come. Thank you so very much for having spent this valuable and this important time with me. If this particular and this important video has been able to help you, I would be so very grateful if you would please share it with a friend or with a loved one who may also be struggling with a sense of a dryness or of a pain in the years after the onset of their menopause. Please leave a comment with your own and your personal experiences, or with your own and your personal questions. I would be so very happy to be able to hear from you, and your own and your personal words may be the very thing that is able to encourage another woman to be able to seek some help for herself. And if you have not yet done so, I would be so very grateful if you would please subscribe to Elderwear Wellness, where we are able to bring you some trusted and some compassionate guidance each and every week. Please remember, you are not alone, and a sense of a comfort is still so very much within your reach.